Hello everyone, my name is Seth, and today I'm going to give you my review of Drop. So at the beginning of the year, Drop was not on my radar at all, but I saw the trailer and it definitely caught my eye. I was super interested in it right from the beginning. It seemed like such an interesting idea for a thriller, and while it's not the best film of the year, I definitely think it's a thriller worth your time. But before we go any farther, go ahead and like this video, hit subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video. We're getting closer and closer to 300 subscribers. We're very close at this point. So if you're new here, please consider subscribing. And if you're not new here, please share this video around with your friends or family. It could help the channel grow and it would absolutely make my day. In this film, we follow Violet, who is a single mother played by Megan Fahey, as she goes on her first date in years. Once she's at the restaurant, she gets bombarded with anonymous threatening messages, which brings up questions of who is doing this and why. This is just such a great premise for a thriller. It's something I haven't quite seen before, which is always exciting. Christopher Landon directed this film. He also directed films like Happy Death Day and Freaky. So if you know these films, you kind of have an idea of what you can expect tone-wise from this film. But right from the beginning, they kind of set this up as like a whodunit. The movie takes place mostly at a small fancy restaurant, and they kind of establish right from the beginning that the range of an airdrop that somebody can receive these different messages is about 50 feet. So that covers just about the whole restaurant. It doesn't include the kitchen, and it doesn't include the restaurant's lobby. So you're kind of in this room with whoever is sending these messages. So right from the beginning, we're kind of looking around. We're kind of thinking, who could be doing this? And we get introduced to like 4, maybe 5 characters that definitely the film wants us to think of as our suspects here. Maybe it's because I've seen quite a few films who do the whodunit style kind of like this, but it didn't really take me too long to start definitely eliminating suspects. And when we only have 4 or 5, you kind of start to figure out who it is pretty quick. So by the end, when the reveal was made, I wasn't necessarily shocked, but I still think it was well executed, even though I could kind of see who it was. I could kind of see that reveal coming. And at one point in the film, when it is revealed that her date, Henry, played by Brandon Sklenar, is a photographer and is close to the mayor, you instantly know that whoever is doing this is doing it for a political reason. So I feel like the reasoning behind the messages and the tasks that they make Violet do in this film ends up being not too awful interesting. I think having this whole thing being politically motivated is probably one of the more boring reasons they could have had this happen. If it were me, I almost would make this kind of not have a reason, kind of it just be random. Like this person just randomly chose her to do this just because. I think that would make that quite a bit more unnerving. But I think as a whole, the movie sets up the stakes very well. They want Violet to get rid of any information that Henry might have on his camera, and then they want her to kill Henry by spiking his drink. If she doesn't do it, if she tries to contact the police, if she tries to say anything to anybody, if she tries to leave, if Henry leaves, all that results in her sister and her son getting killed. So the stakes are high for Violet, and they do a good job of keeping us invested and keeping the tension high. They keep the tensions high throughout the whole film, and that's honestly pretty impressive. They do a good job of not letting the tensions just kind of fall flat, and they also do a good job of not letting that tension become too overbearing. And like 90% of this film takes place in the restaurant, and they do a really good job of not letting you get bored just being in this one location. The pacing all throughout this film is great. It really helps that this film is barely 90 minutes. It does not overstay its welcome at all. It did not need to be any longer, and I don't think this film works as well as it does. The ending is one thing that didn't quite work for me as well as the rest of the film. I think the ending went over the top a little bit. I do like the conclusion, but I don't necessarily know how much I like the way we got to that conclusion. The one thing I do want to give them credit for is that they do a good job of kind of bringing back everything that they introduced. There's not really any loose threads or anything. Everything that they introduce has a reason and a purpose, and they come back to it. They do dig into some tough topics as well, and I think they handled that pretty well. The story was satisfying, and overall, I had a good time. In this film, we mostly focus on Violet and Henry. The rest of the characters don't really have a lot of depth, but I guess that makes sense when either the other characters are supposed to be our suspects or they're her sister and son. But they do some decent character work with Henry and Violet, but mostly Violet. I think one of the biggest things that makes this film, makes this story work, is the writing of Violet and Henry and the performances of Megan Fahey and Brandon Sklenar. You spend so much time with these two characters, and these two characters spend so much time together that if their chemistry doesn't work, this film doesn't work. You have to believe that these two characters are into each other and that Henry knows a little bit about Violet's past and that he is super patient and kind with her. Megan Fahey is really charming and she does a great job of playing this kind of worried mother character, but she also has this kind of underlying strength in her performance, and that adds a very much so welcomed flavor to this story and to this character. She handles what the script asks of her very well, and I've never seen her in anything before, but after seeing her in this film, I would love to see Megan Fahey in something else. I just really enjoyed her performance. Brandon Sklenar has a low-key tough job in this film. With everything that goes on with this date, it would be so easy for the audience to not buy this character at all. Not buy that he'd stay. Maybe they think that this character is just an idiot. But his performance makes this character work. I think he plays this kind, patient, understanding soul so well. He has this warmth and compassion that comes through in his performance that really helps make this character. But this character is not a pushover either. I've seen Brandon Sklenar in a few things now at this point, and he's become an actor where when I hear he's in a project, I start getting more excited for it. The editing and the camera work in this film is really fun, and it kind of has to be with you 90% being in the same location. You have to get creative with both the editing and the cinematography so you just visually don't get bored. You don't want to have just nothing but over the shoulder talking back and forth shots the whole film. It adds some variety to this film that is honestly pretty necessary. I will say though, toward the end of the film, when there's kind of this action sequence, I think the editing gets a little bit messy. It ended up being honestly distracting to me, so I would have loved for them to clean up the editing a little bit toward the end of the film. Overall, I just had a lot of fun with this film. There's just not a lot to dislike here. There's not a lot of like super high level, breathtaking filmmaking here, but not every film you watch has to have that. I think this is a fun thriller with a cool premise and some good performances from Megan Fahey and Brandon Sklenar. There's some fun cinematography and some editing, and I think this is just kind of a fun thriller that I could recommend to just about anybody. Even with the problems that it has, it's just a good, fun, enjoyable watch. I'm going to give Drop a 3.5 out of 5. But that's it. That's my review of Drop. Have you seen this film? Let me know what you thought in the comment section down below. I would love to have a conversation with you about it. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like this video, hit subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video. You can follow me on social media pretty much anywhere at CinemaSeth, and I'll see you next time.